Hello, everybody, and welcome to In-Depth Media. Thank you for watching In-Depth as well. Today, we have an interview for you, a special interview with Mr. Fabakary Tombong Jatta, if you know him. He's been part of the previous government, the Yahya Jammeh government. He's interim leader of the APRC. He was also a majority leader at the National Assembly from 2007 to 2017. Mr. Jatta, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, so we can go on with the interview now. So in Gambian politics, we hear a lot of talk. We hear a lot of back and forth between political parties, but not many political parties talk about their policies. I want to know more, and I want the viewers to know more about APRC's policies.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, for APRC, I think our policies and manifesto is not new. It has been in operation for the past, for almost 20 years. You know, one of the greatest principles of the party is that we know in the world first, no country can be an island. So we believe in bilateral and multilateralism based on our mutual interests and respecting each other's sovereignty and independence. Now, this may not all go well with some other countries, so more so if they are powerful ones. And the tendency is they want governments to do as they want. Otherwise, we know what happens because they are the financial backbone of the world. That is the cardinal principle. The other principle is, if we are in governance, we swear to the Quran that we will serve the interests of the Gambian people. So anything outside the interests of Gambians take the center stage. So any other thing becomes secondary, and that is difficult in this current political situation, especially global situations. But those are cardinal principles. We know where we came from, and the single most important thing we want to ignite and renew is three principles. You know, that is, one, you make sure maximum service to the people in a situation where there is transparency, accountability, and probity, and additionally, reassessing your achievements to see where you have your shortfalls. Now, our policy programs in various sectors, it depends. For instance, if you go to education, you know, you have seen the samples we have done. By the time APRC came into governance, there were only 12 high schools in the whole of the Gambia. Now, most of the rural people, poor people, they come around to scramble for those schools here because most of them are centered here. There were 6 in Banjul and the greater Banjul area. Yeah. You know, we used to have only 3 in West Coast, 1 in LRR, 1 in CRR, and 1 in URR. North Bank had nothing. These were the only high schools from colonial to independence, post-independence. So it is unfortunate that some very intelligent Gambian youths get out of school, not because they don't have the capacity, but because they don't have access and they cannot, or otherwise they cannot afford. So that's why education becomes a center stage and a priority, because an enlightened population is the bedrock for any meaningful socio-economic development. In that respect, we try to build schools, both primary and senior secondary schools, and ensure that they are well structured, and they also try to avail every Gambian child the opportunity to go to school. That's why we had the free education program up to secondary school. Now, that is the best we can do to lay the foundation. Now, families and their children themselves now determine, based on their, to do their best to tap into those facilities given. Now, we also realize in education that the only people who go out to further their education to be graduates are those who are children or family members of high-ranking government civil workers, like either ministers, permanent secretaries. Yes. And what happens is they go on government scholarship. So there was a trend where they send their kids. When they go out, their kids come back to replace them. And most of the rural youths are here only to clap. So that warranted the establishment of the University of the Gambia. If you remember, at the dawn of the university, the doubting Thomases were saying it's not going to work. A lot of things are being said. But interestingly, at the onset, it was one of the cheapest universities in the world. Two, almost 90 to 95% were on government scholarship. The beauty of it was most of the students came from rural poor. For the first time, they would not go to sell their parents' cattle, compounds, jewelry, to try to hustle and go abroad to seek for further education. So these were cardinal principles in education. So education, we want access, we want relevance, we want quality. These are fundamental principles of education. So that if you go to other sectors, agriculture, you go to health, remember health, for the first time, again, in the history of the Gambia, at least post-independence, that a people's government is able to build one hospital for Gambians. The only two hospitals we had from colonial to post-independence were Bansang and Royal Victoria. Can you imagine that for a whole country? Even health centers and major health centers were limited. We expanded on those things. We expanded, we created and built more hospitals in the Gambia and made access to treatment for everybody and relatively cheap at almost zero cost to the individuals. For those women in maternity, usually those are free of everything. So because a healthy is only based on the healthy people can you have economic development. When the people are not healthy, they are not educated. And these are some of the policy programs we have for the Gambians. But I will prepare a document sometime. By the time you come again, okay, I will try to make a summary of what our policy programs are. Or better still, we will give you our document. You look through them.
Okay. So you mentioned the things that APRC has done during their last regime. That's
some of the things.
Yes, some of the things.
Uh-huh.
So let's say APRC becomes the government again. What more things can we see? What different things? What have you learned from the past government when you guys were in power, and what will you do in the next if you win?
Yeah, if APRC comes to power, all of the sectors that we have participated in, we will further ensure transparency and probity. That is central, transparency. And safeguarding our sovereignty and independence. That is central to our programs. We want to have the most cordial relationship with all the countries of the world, especially our neighbors, Senegal. We want to have it based on recognizing the sovereignty and independence of each of us. That aside, it is easy to build. The interesting thing is, at the time we left, in beginning of 2017, the APRC government promised university students that come 2018 January, we are going to give them free university education. Now, but what the interesting thing that happened after we went out of office was rather than sustaining the things we left behind, most of them were falling back. You know, university education now is a nightmare. Secondary education is a nightmare. We will continue to formulate policies, programs that would make these things accessible to the ordinary people of the Gambia, because they pay taxes for us to better their lives. And the only way you can do that is to work on those things, to ensure that we have relatively cheaper educational programs and the access and the quality to add on to it. You want to go to college now, you pay how much? Thousands of dollars. When during our time we pay college students stipend to go to college. So that is not motivating. And those who cannot afford it, they may be very intelligent people. So they will only drop out because of the fact that they cannot meet the cost. If you go into agriculture, I never talked about agriculture. You know, it is interesting that we try to empower farmers in the Gambia, either in groups or individuals, to make sure that at least agriculture is mechanized. The other thing is we try to introduce now what used to be, that's agricultural centers, develop them, equip them, so that the ordinary people within the area will have immediate access to information, equipment, or whatever from those centers. And it will be training and educating farmers on new technologies as they emerge. Now, we also believe that if you go into agriculture, agriculture is not only about cash crop like granules. Our women folk are doing gardening. But you know what's happening is, what we observed is, in gardening, most women produce almost the same thing at the same time. So the market gets saturated. So they don't get the price. And most of the vegetable items get rotten.
Because there's no diversity.
Yeah, there is not. But if it is well coordinated through cooperative systems, government must make sure that they have a system in place that produce of women all around the country are bought from them. They don't have to lose. If there is to be losses, it should be to government. They must have to buy those goods through a cooperative system, and they have preservation. They will have storages where these things will be able to be preserved. And then they will be sold to people on demand and all these things. If there is need, if there are surpluses, let them sell it out. So that the ordinary farmer, you are sure that when I produce as much as possible, even if you all produce at the same time, you are sure of a good price, and that all of it will be purchased. Then government with agriculture has a machinery where they will have preservation, they will preserve these things, and then sell it, let it out to the markets. And if there are enough surpluses, we will now be able to export to our neighbors or any other places. These are some of the things we envisage in our new comeback to government.
What do you have to say to the APRC's critiques? People who say maybe during APRC's time there wasn't enough things like freedom of expression and stuff like that. The shortfalls, basically, as you mentioned earlier. So what do you have to say to that? And is there going to be any difference?
Yeah, you know, what we hear most about APRC is lack of freedom, the press,
Yeah.
freedom to voice out your messages, rule of law, democracy, yes, according to them. These are some of these things, that we violate people's rights, etc. These were some of the remarks that they made, to the extent that they said people were killed, people were tortured, all these things were done. Interestingly, none of them will talk about the merits of the APRC. You know, that would have been, we would have listened more to it if you're talking about the weaknesses of people, also talk about their strength, what they have achieved. That's important. But when we became an opposition, if you listen to our press conferences, we said we as a party, we looked inwardly, honestly and sincerely, and looked at our strengths and our weaknesses. And we resolved that if we come back, we will put mechanisms in place that would avoid recurrences of our weaknesses and limitations, and then try to expand on the good that we have been doing. Now, but we must make it clear that even with the advent of the coalition, who were saying democracy, good governance, rule of law, we all witnessed it here within that short period. How many human rights violations were done? We have seen our people being shot, our people being arrested for not just cause, detained, intense youths, women, pregnant women. We were stoned at, we were called to police. Everything was centered on us. And hardly do you hear the so-called human rights groups and activists crying foul. I think every Gambian or anybody resident here is equal. That should not influence our activists, human rights activists, etc., etc. But that's what we witnessed. How many people died in the Gambia? We have seen a lot of things happen. So what we do know is every government in the world has weaknesses. Every government in the world violates rights. Every government. I'm saying every government.
So do you think the people who didn't trust the APRC can find trust now? In terms of the things you're saying, like you have done some self-reflection, some review, do you think that's enough to earn people's trust again?
Even with that, those groups are less than a fraction of a percent in the Gambia. Remember that. Those people are less than a fraction. APRC is one of the most popular party now. You see, we were under threat. When former President Jammeh left this country, you were all here. Insults, abuses, radio and the television campaign against us, accusations, allegations, a lot of things were happening. To an extent that even APRC people were afraid to wear APRC symbols. We all witnessed it here. But as time went by, you will see yourself, when we had our rallies, you will see it. You must put credible people, unbiased people, non-aligned politically people. But you go and bring people who wanted to put down the government by violence, and then let them come and determine how good we were or the bad things we do.
People like who?
People like Alaji Barrow and the TRRC, who was part of the 30th December 2014 attempted coup. He escaped to the United and left others to die and went to the States. There he was prosecuted and sentenced. But when the new government, coalition government came, he flew back on the red carpet welcome by ministers, a coupist. And then again, not in India, he is taken to the TRRC as the lead is it researcher? Just imagine that. You cannot do it with the gun. Come and use your pen now to do it. Are there no better Gambians who are not biased? Men and women of integrity? How can you bring people like Dr. Lamin Sise? Dr. Lamin Sise is a cousin brother of Usainu Dabo. He has not been in this country for almost 40 years. It's not a family issue. Two, he is not qualified as per the Constitution to serve as chairman of a commission. That's why we petitioned the president.
So in the time of Yahya Jammeh, there were no people that were chosen for positions that maybe the only qualification they had was an affiliation with the president.
If you remember, look at the commissions we created. This Ami Besoda and all these things, we are part of these things. We have Mama Fatima, who looked at the commissions. We had then judges, some of them from Nigeria. They were the people who had no connection with anybody. What we are saying is, known people, like if I am to set up a commission, I will not, however good my brother may be, I will not put him. No. morally it's not correct. They are equally good Gambians who are not biased, who are known to be people of integrity and very credible. Put them there. That's all what we are saying. If anything that would bring about, how would I put, anything that would create doubt in people's mind, avoid it. I can assure you, an APRC government will be far different from all this. People will be surprised. We are not angels, but we will be servants of the people. And we will do everything humanly possible to impact on the lives of every Gambian. Be you a supporter or a not supporter, as long as you reside here. That's who we are going to be, God willing.
So, would the APRC be interested in any sort of merger with another party in the elections, or a coalition or something like that? Because we've seen a coalition has worked very well in 2016. Would the APRC want to be part of anything like that?
You see, the APRC, as we talk now, our number one focus is to see how we can plunge into the elections alone.
Alone?
Yeah, that will be our first choice,
okay.
Everything being equal. Our second choice is, if there are political parties who want to have an alliance with us, for all political parties, we are open.
That's plan B.
That's plan B. And then, what has happened? We are about 3-4 months to elections. And we are sort of the necessary ingredients that would propel us to stand alone. For these 2021 elections, we need a lot of finance,
okay.
Logistics like vehicles, a lot of things, because it's going to be very expensive.
Yes.
Even the deposit alone is 1 million.
It's one of the most important elections.
Yeah, and it's going to be the most expensive election in the history of the Gambia. So knowing that, we have to find an option. Currently we are talking with political parties.
Okay.
We are talking with 4 political parties, almost.
Wow.
Now those 4 political parties, we have almost concluded one with NPP.
That's Barrow's party.
Barrow's party. You know, if we are going into an alliance, NPP, they have an objective why they want an alliance. And we as APRC will also have our objective, what we need. Now, following long discussions, we've come to agree on those principles. We are satisfied, they are satisfied. Now, that's why we went round. Because as a party, we are a democratic party. We are leaders representing people. That's why after we have agreed with them, we will not sign anything until we go back around the country and tell our people, at the last Congress, you assigned us to ally with any political party, bearing in mind the greater interest of the party. We will tell them, we have gone, we are discussing with some political parties, not concluded. This one is concluded. This is what we have agreed on. Here, the ball is in your court. What do you say? That's why we went round. Now we have gone round, we have heard from the people. That's now we're going to determine that we are of the opinion that most Gambian APRC, and indeed even non-APRC, are appreciative of this one. So we may finally come to sign with them an alliance. This is where we are now.
So do you think an alliance with NPP, let's say you guys, you and NPP, win the elections, and what happens after that? Because we've seen the coalition won in 2016, they were, put in power in 2017, and then after that the coalition it crumbled. So how is it going to go? Is the alliance going to be there after the elections?
I am hopeful that the alliance will last up to its time, because the coalition, if you look at the historical background of the coalition, when President Barrow came to governance, he declared to the whole Gambians that he's inexperienced, he has never been in government. But he relied on his mentors, people he believed in, whom he thinks will be able to guide and help him develop this country. We saw it. And that was no other person than Ousainou Darboe. We are all aware. Then he was appointed to Foreign Affairs. He appointed most of the ambassadors that went. He was key. If some of us even were thinking whether Barrow was in existence. Now it reached a stage that he was brought to be vice president. At that seat, what moved next? You are now looking at where I am sitting. Now, who will ever accept that? That's why in my interview, I said it well before this fracas. I said if I were President Adama Barrow, I will dismiss Ousainou Darboe before he resigns. And I said again, if I were Ousainou Darboe, I will resign before I am dismissed. Because this is based on trust. The powers are with the president. He has delegated those powers to you. You are doing whatever you want. He has no qualms. He has seen you as a political godfather. Why? Support him. Remember those days? Barrow is our Barrow. So what we are saying, what brought about the collapse is lack of sincerity and a lot of other factors. You know why we are still APRC? We are all still APRC because we are not greedy. We believe in our beliefs. You understand?
Yes.
And we respect authority. President Adama Barrow, we came out of office, he is there. We should be his biggest enemy. But we respect him more than any other person. We disagree with him. If he does wrong, we will cry foul. But as is the president of the Gambia and is my president, and therefore he deserves my respect, even if we disagree. So for us, from the discussions with the NPP, to the best of my knowledge, come 2021 December and we win, that coalition will be a sample in the Gambia. That's what I believe. Because for us, we will not undermine. We will be honest to our conscience and honest to him.
So that's a promise to the Gambians.
Yes. And that we will all strive together to make Gambia a better place.
So, this elections is going to be very key, and I think peace is a huge concern of many people. Some people are wondering whether there will be violence, People are just hoping that there will be peace. So what is your party going to do during these campaigns and during elections and post-elections to ensure that there will be no violence, there will be 100% peace?
I can proudly say we are one of the biggest, most peaceful political parties in this country. During the last tours we had, we were attacked on the way, where we could retaliate, but we avoided it. A lot of things had happened to us. We could have been in the street demonstrating, like political opposition parties used to do during our time. Have you ever seen us demonstrating? Only to demonstrate to the ECOWAS, UN, and all these things, by the agreement to bring back peaceful and come back home. And of course, we wanted to do one to petition the president against the TRRC. That one, there was this corona, COVID-19. Then we decided to bring a small number and march to give it to the Attorney General. That aside, with all what had happened to us, we had not been. But I want to make it something clear. You see, an APRC-NPP alliance is also good for reconciliation and stability. We are victims now. President Barrow and NPP in governance. If we can come together, it will serve as a beacon of hope for other political parties to see. It is going to be, number one good for the Gambia is to ensure peace and reconciliation, stability and reconciliation. That's fundamental, in the whole process. Two, we are used to peaceful natures. Our people, for us, They go by our commands. There is no need for violence. We don't believe in violence. We believe in disseminating information. No insults. No.
There's also a significant amount of Gambians who like Jammeh. So, don't you think that Jammeh coming back will bring about a clash between those two people?
Weak leader. Currently, would you tell me who does not have significant number of Gambians who don't like him, and equally significant number of Gambians who like him? Jammeh is more popular than most of the leaders here. More people like him than any of us here. So if we can stay, others can stay, President Barrow can stay, what about Jammeh? There is no way that people are going to dislike him. He's not God, even the Creator, Allah. Some people don't believe in him. Who is Jammeh for everybody to believe in him? But go around the country, all this small noise is around this urban area. I'm telling you, and it's among the elite. I'm telling you.
But those elite have a lot of influence on other people, though.
They have a lot of influence within. Some of them are not supportive. When they should give you 1,000, they will give you $5. See, that's the difference with Jammeh. If he gives you, when you take the corner, you run, because you believe that you may be recalled to say there was a mistake. For anybody, irrespective of your tribe or political affiliation. No, to be honest with you, you see, Yahya Jammeh, with all what people may say, is very clean-hearted. For me, he is pushed to the wall. The same may happen to Barrow. He is pushed to the wall. In 1997, 98, everything was gone. But as this, you see, look at us as an opposition. Anytime President wants us, I go to answer. Anytime we have problems, we don't demonstrate or insult, we go and engage them. Maifati was the Interior Minister. Ask him, how many times we have confronted, and we come to get solutions. But before Gambia, you don't want to talk to the government. And the government is in control. You don't want to accept it. You don't want peace. That's why for us, we were doing that. If all political parties will do that to a government in power, we will be better placed. There will be more stability, understanding, and cohesion.
So let's say Jammeh comes back, and then all the influence from Jammeh. And don't you think it will look like there are two presidents in the Gambia?
When Jawara came, there are two presidents in the Gambia.
Jammeh is very powerful.
Jawara was very powerful. You were young, probably you don't know. DK Jawara is very powerful, very much loved. You see, I want to tell you one thing. Everything in the world has a span, lifespan, and that is determined by God. Some people aspire to be president until they died, they are not. President Barrow, he himself told me, he has never once thought of one day he will be here. But it's the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what we believe. Others may not believe it. So President Jammeh loves Gambians and loves the Gambia. Why he left this Gambia is to ensure stability. The advice he told Barrow before his departure is to make sure that he takes care of peace and security. Who will not come here to destabilize the country. Never. And by the time he comes, his party would be part of the same government. How would he stabilize it? Destabilize it.
You mentioned that everything has a span, especially in politics as well. Everything has its time. So a lot of people, a lot of Gambians keep saying that in Gambian politics, the elders are the ones who run the show. So don't you think it's time for the elders to take a step back and let the youths lead, or do you think the youths still have time to learn?
You see, if you look around the world, look at the Americas, which we take as the citadel of democracy. None of their presidents, from Obama to John F. Kennedy only, all of them, current president is 79, almost going 80. He's elected to president. The one he replaces is 69 or 70. And the other ones, Bush and all these ones, it's good for the youth to come, but you also understudy the leaders. The current dispensation, some of us are forced into politics. You know, we belong to a party, the leader has gone, the party was disintegrating. We chose people to come, nobody wants to take it because it had no future, you know, a dying political party with all the insults and this thing. Nobody wanted it. So we thought it behoves us that a party that we served and its people served us by voting for us, under these conditions, difficulties, we should also come to sacrifice for them. That's why we came in. But when we settle down, we give it out. The people determine who is going to be their leader. If they choose a 90-year-old man, that may be fine for them. If they choose a 30, 35, 40-year, 50-year-old, that's fine. Because for us, we go to Congress as per our constitution to determine who becomes a leader. Even me, if we are going to contest on our own, it's not Fabakary who is going to be the candidate. It's going to be the same thing. The Congress will go and determine and say, these are the people who want, these are the ones this is the man we want to lead. It may be somebody else. Political leadership and the flag bearership are different. But always young people need mentors, need people to advise, need people to support them, need people to pave the way for them. You know, governance and politics, yes, education, but experience also counts. So for me, I believe in youth empowerment. I believe in it. I believe in it. There are some who are so ambitious that they just want to come and overtake everybody and get it. That may not go well. You have to be, you see, in the political arena, you have to be felt, seen, and work hard for people to know and appreciate you. Then you can come in. But even if you read from the University of God, if people don't know you and you are not participating, you only want to count on you are youthful and you have these things, you will never survive in politics. You must serve the people first. Mm-hmm.
So, I'll just, from one of my last questions, you, in 2019 in an interview, you said that you think that people are capitalizing on Barrow's inexperience in governance. Do you think people are still doing that? Or do you think now Barrow has grown into the role of president?
You know, it's a difficult thing for Barrow. Barrow is elected on the platform of a coalition. So there are a lot of things he cannot unilaterally do. You know, unlike when Barrow is elected as Barrow. And this coalition was so diverse, so many, so with a lot of ambitions. At Barrow, definitely he had no experience. And you see, for presidents to succeed, for leaders to succeed, depends more on the people who surround him.
Yeah, you also said that honest advice was lacking.
Yes, it's the people who surround him. As even as inexperienced as Barrow is, if he has honest, loyal, and sincere people who have the capacity to give, the guy, he will do very well. But there are those who love him, who are loyal, but they lack the experience. Those who have the experience, they are not loyal. So you find he finds himself in a quagmire. For me, what I believe in is, if you trust me to give me just something, and I cannot be loyal to you, billahi, I will not take it. So, but to show you smiling face when if I get you, I kill you, I can't do that. So that's what's happening. Some people are there, They are not helping him much. They are just getting their bread. And they are even some of them are even serving other interests. There are people with him who are very loyal to him. But some of them don't have the experience, political experience, to be able to guide him. This is where he falls in.
So you think with you guys possibly joining with him, that won't be repeated?
But you know very well that APRC, we are the, how would I put it? The storehouse of experience and the servicing people. APRC, what we have done here is a miracle with very little assistance from the West, because we were sanctioned. We build schools, roads, rural electrification, women empowerment, even to show that being proud of a Gambian is APRC. Before, Gambia is seen as Zambia. Honestly, I'm telling you. And for you youths, everything was done for youth empowerment. Even the voting age was dropped from 21 to 18 years. People refuse to do it because youths are very vibrant and they can be radicals. So you don't want them to participate in politics. So you push it up. The other thing is the TV. We had no television. Television is a powerful instrument of information dissemination. You don't only hear, you see it. The PPP government was afraid of television because they kept the youths, clapping for them, giving them drugs, clapping for them, no education, no nothing. So when election comes, they come and give you some few dollars and then you go. When it is finished, they are gone. It is APRC that empowered the youth, brought in schools, expanded schools, brought in technical institutions, brought in the university, empowered women and youths. So you can see the difference. So we are a storehouse of experience, and we don't betray. We remain loyal to anybody who is our leader.
And you are sure that Barrow will remain loyal to you as well?
Yeah, I cannot say I'm sure. I only believe that he will remain loyal to us. I have had a lot of discussions and personal interactions with President Barrow. I also have tried to identify, to know what type of person he is. I have realized that he's very human. Barrow is not like other people who are very vicious. No, I have not seen that in him. I have not seen that with him. And it seems as he also wants to leave a legacy. That is, to do something that tomorrow, if he is not in governance, he will be remembered for. And hopefully, if we come together, honestly and sincerely, and we fulfill our promises, Allah would guide us together, and then we can impact on the lives of Gambians.
So finally, I want to ask you, what is the party planning to do in the next 3 months? We have about 3 months and a few days until the elections. What is the party planning to do in the next 3 months until elections?
The next 3 months, we are just preparing the ground for a campaign. We just laying the foundation. Sooner, probably in the next few weeks or few days, we will have agreed with political parties. I told you we are still negotiating some political parties. And if we agree with them, they will join us. If we sign with NPP, they will join on, and we all campaign for our candidate for a coalition government. After the elections, we'll be part of government. Some APRC will have some ministerial positions, some ambassadorial positions, some these things, and together we will work as a coalition government. And I want to talk to Gambians, irrespective of their political affiliations. See, this is a small country. And if you look at it, just discussing with you, you can see some link between me and you.
Yes.
That's how the Gambia is. And the leadership is ordained by God. It's not forced. If you are a Muslim, that's what you should believe. We should avoid castigating people, insulting. No, under no circumstance should we insult each other in this country. We can market our ideas to the people. We can argue on points, but let's remain as brothers. So Gambians, if political leaders ask you to go into violence or to go and insult on their behalf, don't do it. You will be held accountable for it, both here and in the hereafter. So let's look at us. When we political leaders meet, we greet each other, we shake hands, and some of our militants will always antagonize each other, fight each other. Let all believe that we are all Gambians. It's just difference of opinion. Two, I want to thank the APRC militants this time. I want to thank the 7 regions, West Coast region, KM region, Banjul, NBR, LRR, CRR, and UR, and they are regional chairpersons. And there are various committees and political leaders from youth, women, and elders for the welcome and reception and everything we had during this 4-5-day tour. And what we expected is what we had. We heard from them, and we thank them for their support. I want to assure them that we will remain loyal to this party.
Thank you for watching In Depth as well.